Hello students. Today we will be dealing with agricultural price policy, its trends and valuation. As you know, the agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. It has its long past. It has its bright future also. If you can adopt a good policy along with its formulation. In Indian economy, as you all know, majority of the people depend on agriculture. 2/3 of their income devotes to the expenditure on food items. Right. So from producer and consumer viewpoint, to adopt a proper price policy is of utmost importance. Why the need for a proper policy? Why there is a need for agricultural price policy? Just to safeguard both the producer as well as the consumer from the upswing and downswing of agricultural price movement. It has its seasonal effect also. Right, so both the consumers and producer should be protected. You got my point? We will explain this point later. To begin with, let me give you the definition of agricultural price. What does it mean? I know that you have a very good idea regarding the definition of price you have already taught in your microeconomics course. Let me define you agricultural price as the average price or the unit value paid by the producer in the domestic market for their agricultural produce. The agricultural price policy we can conveniently divide into two phases. One, 1947 to 1965. Another phase, 1965 to the present state. What is the difference between the two stages? Why I have divided the whole texture of agricultural price policy in this way? This is because previously, at the dawn of independence to 1965, it was totally consumer oriented. Protect the consumer for the price rise. Because there the viewpoint is that the consumers can buy it at right price from the market. But after 1965, it was both producer as well as consumer oriented. Because farmers has to be protected from the vulnerability of season, of market phenomenon, etc. Market intervention is required then. At that time onwards, price policy becomes market-oriented. In 1965, Agricultural Price Commission has been established. What was the task of it? The task is to advise the government about the proper price policy so that both the producer and the consumer may be protected from any kind of vulnerability. This Agricultural Price Commission during 1985 was renamed as Commission for Agricultural Cost and Produce, right? In short, CACP. this CACP gives government the recommendation about the market-oriented proper pricing system for both the producers as well as consumers. So they recommend what should be the proper price so that it safeguards both the consumer as well as the producer. In 1980s, the committee took the responsibility of responsibility of taking into account the cropping pattern. So, it is integrated, diversification as well as cropping pattern. So, one is safeguarding from fluctuation of price, producer, consumer. The second is diversification of the production. The third is the cropping pattern, which may change so that overall the agricultural production may be increased as well as its diversification can take place, as well as there may be a food security. So now you get the idea of the necessity of the agricultural price policy. Of course, the objectives can be extended to encompass other points also. I am coming later. Before that, let me tell you that agricultural price policy can be subdivided into three compartments. One is minimum support price. Another is procurement price. And the third one is issue price. What is minimum support price? Government of India, with the recommendation of CACP, guarantees the farmers that the price of their produce should not fall below a price floor. This is a guarantee. Safety valve. They can get the assurance that, okay, what we are producing, we get price. It should not fall below the price floor set by the government. Government also gives the farmers a commitment to buy at MSP. So they can get the incentive to produce more. Whatever I produce, I wouldn't suffer loss because of any turbulence. I'm guaranteed, I'm protected, just risk insurance. I'm insured. Government is there to support me. That is minimum support price. What is then procurement price? Procure. Procure means here also government buys from the cultivators. But the government cannot give them or doesn't give them the guarantee or the commitment to buy. But what they buy, if they have any marketable surplus, marketed surplus, that surplus government often buys. Government doesn't give the commitment to buy, but usually government buys. Since it is involving the marketed surplus, government often sets the procurement price which is higher than MSP. So PP usually set greater than that of MSP. You can understand the difference between MSP and PP. MSP is the minimum guarantee. That is my insurance. Okay, I wouldn't suffer a loss, And PP, whatever marketed surplus I have, there is a government who can buy. So that also acts as an incentive to produce more, to diversify. And the last one is issue price. Issue price is that price at which the consumers get the cereals or agricultural produce through fair price shop, in short FPS, and through public distribution systems, ration shops, etc. So these are the three compartments of agricultural price policy. Agricultural price policy has been announced by the government on the recommendations of CACP, basically to stabilize the price level. Eradication of fluctuation, you may call it. In case of food scarcity brought about by drought, brought about by floods, or any kind of international shocks or domestic shocks whatsoever, if there is a supply shock, then consumers will suffer. If there is a demand bottleneck, particularly in case of staple food, then producer suffers much. Right. So there arises a demand-supply gap. If price rises continuously, consumer suffers. If there is a supply shock, excess demand will occur in the market. If there is a demand bottleneck, then particularly for staple food, the opposite occurs. So government, in case of disequilibrium, has to intervene. Often government has to take resort of the imports. That is the disturbance. Government intervention occurs. Agricultural price, when it is announced, it is also a kind of market intervention by government. But if these occurs, the particular phenomenon which what I have just now described, then that acts as a shock, either to consumer or to the producer or to both the sections. Right. So the consequences is not good. So the stabilization mechanism of prices is a very important aspect. Then price policy has to be taken resort to maintain the relationship between agricultural commodity as well as industrial commodity. Second, food grains and non-food grains item. Why this is necessary? Why the relationship is of much importance? Because to maintain the terms of trade. Now, when government announces agricultural price policy, that has to be implemented in states also. And the task of implementation is borne by Food Corporation of India, FCI, as well as state level, different states, There should not be interstate or inter-regional variation regarding agricultural price. So that should be implemented properly, and the task is vested on Food Corporation of India as well as NAFED. Second important aspect, I am now coming to that. While recommending or while implementing agricultural price, what are the aspects, what are the factors government take into account? Government takes into account different factors. Number one, obviously cost of production. Second, input prices and trend of market prices. What they are producing, their input cost, the cost of production, what they are selling, that is trends in the market price. That means the demand condition. Third, total production, yield, cropping area, interstate, interregional market price. These are the issues. Because for stabilization, these aspects are necessary. Now, after 1960s, during 60s, after Green Revolution, which is capital intensive. That means why it has been adopted, all you know that, you all know that to increase the productivity. So agricultural price should be devised in such a way as to maintain the coherence between technology, production, and the interlinkage is done through proper pricing. Because proper agricultural price policy gives the farmer the incentive to invest, to produce more, the incentive for diversification, the incentive for proper utilization of their land. It is true that not all the states are quite aware about the minimum support price of the agricultural commodities. There are interstate variations between the perception, between the awareness. For example, if we take the cases of Jharkhand, Gujarat, it's Haryana, etc., even some farmers of Punjab, we can see that only a little percentage of the farmers know about the prevailing MSP. If they can know the MSP in right way for all seeds, in case of wheat and paddy, it is not at all a problem. More or less farmers equally know. But if they do not know the right MSP prevailing, then they will not be under the periphery of the beneficiaries. The farmers who know about MSP, they have the liberty either to sell at MSP or to sell outside if they get prices which are greater than MSP. That is their issue, their choice, their liberty. There are 14 Kharif crops which fall under the purview of MSP. There are 7 Rabi crops which fall under the domain of MSP. There are 4 calendar year crops which do fall under the category of MSP. Among the Kharif crops, jowar, bajra, paddy, etc., Rabi crops, wheat, calendar year crops, dehusked coconut, copra, sugarcane, etc. Now what happens if we analyze the trend? The trend gives us the performance of MSP regarding Rabi crops, Kharif crops and calendar year crops. Taking recourse of RBI data from 2000-2001 to 2018-19, I've collected data, and what I have found that in case of all food grains, MSP has increased, continuously increased, is on uptrend. In case of all non-food grains also, the same trend is found. So if the MSPs are increasing, definitely you can get the idea that farmers should get the incentive of producing more. And if you look at the trend, the line diagram, you get the idea that after 2007, 2008 particularly, the rate of increase of some food grains, all the food grains or all the non-food grains, the year is 2007, 2008, 2007-8 onwards to 2019-20. The rate of increase becomes faster. It has got a spark. In case of edible oil, almost we have got the self-sufficiency. But in case of jute, jute was our pride. This is not happening. From the chart, you can follow that. So there although the trends in all cases somewhat increasing, but if you follow the rate of acceleration, you can find that only in some cases, only in some selected food grains and non-food grains, the rate accelerates. Not in case of all. This may point to some facts, to some challenges, to some policy suggestions. Increase is good, but disparities is not good. So, what I am trying to get at, that we can see from the trend the intercrop variations in the production, or in case of MSP, you can see that among the non-food grains, sunflower, groundnut, safflower seed, these are showing some impressive trend. The spark has been observed in these cases. Cotton. Right. In case of food grain products, you can see moong, arhar, gram are showing impressive trend. Of course, you can follow the trend of jute, MSP of jute. Try to connect the MSP with the production. Okay. Because as I said, and as I am repeatedly trying to say, that since MSP gives the incentive, so incentives, this is a vicious circle. If you are aware about the MSP, then that gives you the incentive to produce more. If the production is declined, then you may ask for support, and if the support is not obtained at the right time, not being implemented, then that will not have any reflection in the production side. That is quite happening in case of jute industries. Intercrop disparity, inter-regional disparity is seen. These two facts are seen in case of Indian economy, which need to be tackled immediately. Inter-regional disparities occur due to the awareness I am repeatedly pointing out. So what are the key challenges? The key challenges is, that means if you know the key challenges, you can suggest the policies. The policy suggestions immediately comes. One is proper implementation. Proper implementation of MSP. That should be done so that maximum number of farmers, maximum number of crops fall under MSP. And maximum number of farmers or maximum number of crops can get the incentive also. Second, lack of adequate infrastructure. The infrastructure network should be properly built. Third, imperfect information regarding the knowledge, the spread of knowledge of MSP. Imperfect information regarding the price prevailing. That is market information. The fourth you can call it, you can merge it in case of, you can merge it along with the implementation scheme also. The fourth is proper monitoring. The proper monitoring of MSP. These are the key challenges faced by the Indian economy regarding the proper administration of agricultural price policy. But agricultural price policy, proper properly formulated agricultural price policy in respect of most of the crops, if handled carefully, then agriculture, production, as well as production takes into account many more things you know. I'm not going into detail of that. Then agricultural production will be revamped once again. And as well as with the increase in agricultural production, its export will also increase. It can also earn the foreign exchange. Actually, now, after 1980s, since the concentration is oriented not only to protect farmers against the domestic turbulence, domestic price fluctuation, but to take into account the international price movement, trade requirement, etc. So, proper implementation and spreading up of knowledge and encompassing the crops under the purview of MSP is required for the agricultural sector to perform better. Since I conclude with the sentence with which I have started my lecture, agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy, and about 75% people still depend on the agriculture. Thank you.